What is cloning? Cloning is the exact genetic copy of an organism. There are two different types of cloning: reproductive cloning and therapeutic cloning. The main way to clone is through somatic cell nuclear transfer. Reproductive cloning uses somatic cell nuclear transfer to copy an organism's genes to produce another organism. With reproductive cloning, scientists can clone animals, other organisms, and even eventually humans. Therapeutic cloning uses somatic cell nuclear transfer to clone stem cells. This does not make a complete organism, but instead makes parts of them. Therapeutic cloning is used to treat health conditions or diseases that people may be suffering from. The process that scientists use for cloning is called somatic cell nuclear transfer. Scientists isolate a somatic cell from an adult female. Next, they remove the nucleus and all of its DNA from an egg cell. They then transfer the nucleus from the somatic cell to the egg cell, and after a couple of chemical tweaks, the new egg cell behaves just like a fertilized egg. It is then developed into an embryo and implanted into a surrogate mother who carries the egg to term. Problems with cloning. Only 0.1 to 3% of cloning procedures actually work. Clones that do make it usually end up with major health conditions. Many clones get large organ syndrome, LOS, which is when a clone is born with abnormally large organs. Those without LOS usually suffer from kidney or brain malformations. They can also suffer from impaired immune systems, which can cause problems later in their lives. Clones usually have a shorter lifespan and are never actually the same as the original organism it was cloned from. These protesters, like many others, believe that cloning is cruel and should not be happening today. Ethical problems with cloning. Many people believe that there are a lot of problems morally and ethically with cloning. They say that cloning is against their religions, and some people also say that they are against the way that clones are made or produced. Clones are seen by many people to have no individuality, and they are also seen by not being a natural procedure since they are made in a lab. Impacts of cloning. Cloning has made advances in science, such as new research breakthroughs. They've also made advances in medicine, such as cloning of organs and skin cells in order to help people with illnesses. Cloning has also made genetically made animals cloned to improve our food output.
Do you think it's okay to clone a human for medical purposes, such as to provide organs for transplants?
I think it's okay as long as it's for medical purposes, as long as it's not for anything else, and if the person receiving the organ has, like, if they give consent and they know that the organ they're receiving is cloned and not from an actual human.
Do you believe that cloning is ethical for any other purposes besides medically?
No, just for medical purposes.
Why?
I just think it's not a natural thing. Like, cloning isn't a natural thing, so it shouldn't be done unless it's for medical purposes and people have consent for it.
Are you aware of like cloning for humans or animals that's been done in the past?
Only that sheep, Dolly, but other than that, and I know they cloned some stem cells, like embryonic stem cells, which I don't think is right either, but those are the only things that I'm aware of.
Why do you believe that cloning is usually viewed as unethical in our society?
I think just because it's not like morally right, and since a lot of people are religious in the world, it goes against like the natural and like God made you and just everything like that. I think that's why it's really frowned upon.
With the advancements in science that are coming along, do you think that these views will change in the future?
I definitely think that they will change just because the technology, everything's becoming easier and faster, and people like the easy, fast way of everything. So I think as long as they make it safe, and if people think it's, once one person starts doing it, then a lot of people think, oh, like, that's an okay thing to do. So I definitely think that everyone's views will change.
Okay, thanks.
Who benefits from cloning? The people who benefit from cloning are those who profit from it, such as scientists and businessmen. Other people who can benefit from cloning are those who may need cloning to help them with an illness that they are suffering from. Who is affected by cloning? People who are affected are farmers whose animals may be genetically made from cloning. There are also everyone else who buys and eats the genetically made animals are affected. More people who could be affected by cloning are people who are cured by the cloned stem cells. The media on cloning. There is not much media coverage on cloning, but what is covered is very controversial. Most media goes back and forth with the idea of cloning. It is exciting, but it is still fearful. A phobia was made by media coverage called clonophobia, which is the fear of clones. The most notable media coverage of a clone was Dolly the sheep, who was cloned in 1997 by Ian Wilmut at the Roslin Institute in the United Kingdom. Dolly the sheep was successfully cloned, however, only lived 6 years, which is half the years of the average sheep lifespan.
Okay, it's fine.
Do you think it's okay to clone a human for medical purposes, such as to provide organs for transplants?
No, I don't think I don't think it's ethical to clone a human for any reason.
Why is that?
Because it's just not morally right. I don't think it's not a natural process. I don't agree with it.
Are you aware of any cloning being done in the past regarding like humans or animals?
Dolly the sheep, and I've studied some stem cell um, cloning that's been done.
What are your opinions on the cloning of animals?
There's a lot of problems that could be gone wrong, and I don't know. I'm pretty sure that Dolly had a bunch of health issues with her, and so I feel like that would just be a common occurrence that would come on.
Why do you believe that cloning is usually viewed as an unethical process in our society?
Because it's not natural, and a lot of our society is religious, and they would lean towards that side of it being unnatural, and in the long run, I don't see it as. I feel like if they do continue cloning, individuals may lose individuality and creativity and stuff like that.
Do you think that these views will change in the future with the advancements in science?
Yeah, I feel like more people will become more and more comfortable with it over time when new technology has progressed and they've learned more about it.
Many communities have taken to protesting in order to try and stop the cloning in their societies. Recommendations. We recommend that everyone learns more about both the advantages and disadvantages of cloning and get involved. If you want to try and get involved, you can visit the Compassion in the World farming website.